Hello everyone, and welcome back to the Dork Side. I am the Dork in the Road, and today we're going to talk about 10 basic tips for new motorcycle riders. That's right everyone, I am the Dork in the Road, and I want to be your internet riding buddy. But I'm better than your regular riding buddies because I'm available whenever you want, and I come with a mute button, so please don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you know when awesome content like this is posted. Well, if you're anything like me when I first started riding, you're on YouTube right now, furiously devouring any and all tidbits, safety tips, and pieces of information that you can use to help make you a better rider and make you more confident on your motorcycle. Now, I've been riding for a few years now. I am not an expert, but I have picked up a few things along the way that I think are important for new riders to think about, and I just wanted to make this video and pass those things along to you. Let's start with the basics and the thing that sometimes people forget to include in their calculations when picking up their first motorcycle, and that is gear. You need to wear it. So if you have visions of wheeling down the street on your turbo boost or wearing flip-flops and a t-shirt, let me tell you that that is an exceptionally bad idea. And you should at minimum plan on acquiring the correct gear. Wearing gear is very important. You're never more likely to have an accident than the first couple thousand miles of riding, and so if you're properly protected in the event something unfortunate does happen, and that's not to say that it's guaranteed to happen. In fact, if you ride safely and pay attention and follow these other tips, it becomes a lot less likely. But you need gear. So if you're interested in a more in-depth version of what kind of gear a new rider should be thinking about without breaking the bank, check out my cheap motorcycle gear for beginners video. Kind of walks through what I would consider the bare minimum setup, but the quick version is helmet, gloves, jacket, pants, boot. You should be wearing all those things pretty much every time you get on your motorcycle, but especially if you're going to go at highway speeds. You can get used gear. You don't have to buy brand new stuff. You don't have to break the bank, but it's important to be protected. Number 2 is practice. And part of practicing is just getting out on the road and riding. That's very true. And you should do as much of that as possible. But should a tricky or emergency situation arise, you're going to be much better prepared to handle it if you've been practicing evasive maneuvers, been practicing panic braking, been practicing tight cornering. Really, there's 2 areas that you're most likely, I feel like, to get into an accident, to have an incident. And one is high speed, something goes wrong really quickly, and the other is something slow speed maneuvering, or you just drop your motorcycle. And so it's important to practice for both of those things. The saying goes, if you're going to ride at 80 miles an hour, you should practice stopping from 80 miles an hour, and I think that's true. So you should practice braking, you should practice cornering, you should practice all kinds of things. So here's a piece of advice. If you took the MSF course, which is, spoiler alert, one of the tips coming up later, think about going back to the place where you took it if it's close enough and just redoing some of the drills, because at least out here the lines are just painted on an empty parking lot, and so you can just go ride it and practice those drills whenever you want. But practice turning around, practice slow speed maneuvers, practice braking from speed. I mean, start slow and work your way up, but these are all the things that if you're confident about when the time comes that you actually need them, those seconds you save, the decisions you make will keep you alive. So practice your skills, that's important. Number 3, this is something I did okay at, but I could have done better, and that's choose the right first bike. And consider your own experience, consider the type of riding you want to do, consider your own preferences. You're going to get a lot of advice, and some of that is good, and you should definitely consider it, but it's not the end-all be-all, and the only person that can tell you what kind of bike you're comfortable on is you. I would advise against too much bike for your first bike. The more easy to use the bike is, the easier it'll be for you to learn to ride and gain confidence, and once you've gained the confidence in the skill, then you can upgrade. People upgrade motorcycles all the time, so it's not that weird. Pretty easy to buy and sell them if you're careful. But the right style of bike for you, one that suits you as a rider and suits your needs. Think about the kind of riding you want to do. I'm a big proponent of dual sports as first motorcycles for a few reasons. Yeah, they're cheaper to get, cheaper to maintain, cheaper to own. You don't care if you drop them, and they're easy to ride. If you're never going to go off the road, you probably don't need a dual sport. Think very seriously about the type of motorcycle that you want to start on. Maybe check out my 5 things to consider when buying a motorcycle video for more information on that. Number 4, and I alluded to this already, but number 4 is, if you can, and I believe you can pretty much anywhere, it just may take a little driving on your part, but take the MSF course, take the Motorcycle Safety Foundation course. That is a fantastic introduction to motorcycle riding and will take you from clueless beginner to confident rider within the space of a couple Saturdays, or a Saturday, a few hours riding. So it's really, really worth it, and it will make you a safer rider and help keep you alive. This thing sucks. It's really hot. I did not want to be stuck behind a tractor today going 2 miles an hour. In Oregon, the MSF is done by Team Oregon, and it's required to get your endorsement. So, but that's not the case in every state. So if it's not required for you, you should definitely take it. So that's number 4. Number 5, I'm doing it right now. clutch control. Don't be afraid to use that clutch and learn to use it. Get confident with it. If you need to slow down without applying the brake, or you need to move at a slow speed but not at full speed, and throttle modulation isn't doing it for you, clutch control is how you modulate your speed. You can use it for slow speed maneuvers, you can use it for turning around in a parking lot, use it for weaving through tight spaces, use it for when you want to keep up your momentum but lose a little bit of speed without applying the brakes. It's key for starting and stopping on your bike, and it's just a skill to practice. So when you're out practicing your skills, as we mentioned, don't forget, don't neglect clutch control. It's really, really helpful off-road, but I use it all the time on-road too. Understand that it's a tool in your toolbox. It's not just about brake and throttle. That clutch is really the fine-tuning piece. All right, this next tip is one that really applies if you're riding with friends, but can be helpful when you're by yourself. As you've seen me do many times, I ride with my buddy Duck Fan, and one of the things we discovered early on was how much more fun it is to ride together when you can talk to each other. So probably my favorite, most useful, most highly recommended piece of motorcycle technology or motorcycle accessory is a Sena communicator. And Sena, by Sena I just mean any type of helmet-to-helmet intercom, but the Sena is the most common. We use the SMH10. It's not super expensive. It's one of the least expensive ones there are, and we found we have great range. We use it on and off-road. It's linked in the description below if you're curious, but get that Sena and being able to talk to each other is a huge improvement. And if you carry a passenger, same thing. Nice being able to talk to each other. It greatly enhances your motorcycling experience. So that Sena is a cool thing, and you should think about getting one for sure. It really, really makes a big difference. It saves you singing and whistling inside your helmet, which is still fun for hours at a time when you're out riding. Next tip, pretend you're invisible. This is a safety tip. Pretend you are the invisible person, the invisible rider, and that the other cars are in no way aware of you. Act as if they can't see you. And that's just a simple way of saying ride defensively, because you are hard to see. Even me on this very tall, very orange motorcycle with a very bright headlight, wearing a Captain America helmet, I am difficult to see, and I often find cars merging into my lane or pulling out when it's clear that if they had seen me they wouldn't have done so. So people struggle to see you. You're very hard to see, so if you assume that no one can see you and ride accordingly, you'll be a lot safer. Don't pull out unless you're 100% sure that car is not going to pull out. Slow down when you approach sketchy intersections with lots of people like this one. See what I'm saying? When you go to pass someone, make sure you're well clear, and always think about what dumb thing the other driver might do. For instance, I always assume the other drivers around me are going to do the dumbest possible thing at the least opportune moment, and I ride accordingly. So I give other cars a wide berth. I make direct eye contact with drivers before I'll pull out in front of them. Make sure they know that I'm there. It's not like riding in a car where you have a protective cage around you. You have to just pretend you're invisible. If you just think about it like that, just assume no one can see you, then you're taking care of yourself in the moments when the people didn't see you. Most motorcycle veterans will tell you the same. Ride as if you're invisible. It's a pretty common piece of advice. Keep that in mind. All right, another skill you want to know about, master, think about, is counter steering. There's a lot of conversation around counter steering. It's not really an advanced skill because we all do it intuitively, but to learn to do it on purpose can really, really help you, especially if you get into a situation where you're taking a tighter corner than you thought, faster than you meant to. What I recommend is to watch the documentary or watch the movie Twist of the Wrist 2. And yeah, it's cheesy, but there's a lot of really good science in there about cornering and how cornering works. Counter steering specifically, basically you push forward on the bar on the inside of the turn in order to make the turn tighter. That leans the bike over. That makes you turn tighter. That's how you take turns faster and faster, or save yourself if you get into a situation where you're taking a tighter turn than you thought, faster than you meant to, and you can get yourself out of it. So it's a good skill to be practicing on every ride, and I'm not an expert on it, and so I'm not even going to pretend to describe or give you advice on it, other than to say look into counter steering, maybe watch Twist of the Wrist and learn a little something about it. I don't know where any of these roads go, so that's the joy of motorcycling. I'm just going to take one. I really should have grouped these, done like riding skills and then other things and then gear, but whatever. Number 9 thing that I recommend, and take this advice from someone who had to learn this, but you should do your own maintenance. And for some people, that's a big old duh, like because you know how to work on bikes and engines and you're just that kind of person. But for someone like me who came to motorcycles and I don't consider myself super mechanically inclined, You know, I could change my oil on my cars and do some basic things, but never ever been like a gearhead or someone that trusted myself to be able to work on engines and not like destroy them or anything. I've really had my mind opened and my eyes opened and learned a lot about maintenance by working on my bikes. But motorcycle engines are smaller, it's easier to get to things. They are slightly less complicated. They're not uncomplicated, they're just less complicated than car engines, but you can do your own maintenance. And maybe not even the huge things, with the types of things that you can do and you should do in order to get to know your motorcycle and to learn are things like oil changes. Here's a list of easy maintenance tasks that anybody can do, I promise. Just watch a few YouTube videos if you're not sure. Anybody can change their oil, it's not a problem. I don't know where I'm going. I'm going straight. Anybody can do chain maintenance, and in fact you should. You shouldn't be paying someone to maintain your chain because you should be doing it every other time you ride. Anybody can take their wheels on and off. Getting the tires on and off the rim is another story, and I'll let you decide if you're into that. But that is an example of something that you can do. I've done a bunch of mods myself. So things like hand guards, grips, I did this windshield, a seat cover, and USB chargers, and a new exhaust on my Grom. I've done all of these things, and I'm not super mechanically inclined. So you can do basic and slightly less than basic maintenance tasks yourself, and I highly encourage you to give it a shot, because worst case in a basic maintenance task is you don't know how to finish it and you take it to the guy you would have taken it to anyway. Or get a friend to help you that's done it before. But YouTube videos are a great resource and I recommend them. Number 10, and this is one of those unexpected benefits of motorcycling that I talk about in my 10 things I wish I'd known before I started motorcycling video, but number 10 piece of advice, tip for motorcycle beginners, is join the community. It is a huge community. It is an online and in-person community, and those two don't always overlap, but they do occasionally. And I would recommend getting involved if you can. Start with either general motorcycling communities online, or look for meetups in your area. Look for bike night. Our local pizza parlor has a bike night once a month that everybody goes to. There are groups and forums and subreddits for specific models of motorcycle. I belong to a Versus group, a CRF 250L group, a couple of Grom groups. Okay, that's a good place to start, especially if you have questions. Just don't ask what kind of oil to use, because people will blow you up online. It's a hilarious running joke, and by hilarious I mean not that hilarious. Join the community, become a part of it, ride with other people. It's super fun. Go to events at your local dealership. Go hang out at your dealership and just look at bikes and talk to the guy that works there. Build up a relationship with them. It's fun. I am an antisocial introvert. I'm pretty antisocial, but I really like getting out, riding with other people, talking about bikes and how much I like bikes, and just doing those kinds of things, interacting with people online, because we have this shared interest, this shared passion, and it's cool to be a part of the community, and I would encourage you to get involved in it. So number 10 is join the community. So those are 10 tips for new motorcyclists, and I have a bonus 11th tip for you. YouTube is a great resource for motorcycling information, and I would encourage you to check out other motorcycling videos, both safety and learning tips in general, and also more specific things about stuff you're looking for. So use those resources. There's a lot of experienced motorcyclists on YouTube talking about their experiences and things they've learned, and providing helpful tips and information. I'd be honored if you'd include my videos in those videos that you're checking out. But take a look, use the internet, check out some other channels, and keep learning. And the most important tip is just get out there and ride. That's how you learn. Take it easy, ride within your limits, ride your own ride, but just get out there. Put some miles behind you, put some gas in your tank and the rubber to the road, and become a better rider. I just want to say thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed these tips. Hope you found something helpful. If you did, please don't forget to hit that like button. I'd be honored if you'd subscribe to check out more dorky shenanigans in the future. But for now, and as always, thank you very much for watching, and please don't forget to be excellent to each other. I think.